All right, guys, listen. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Sean Raiz, of course, flanked by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Guys, listen. I want you to think for real, for real. Like you heard me come on yesterday with massive energy, super energy. We had a phenomenal call last night. I want you to think, what can you get out of the next 3 days? What can you eke? Like, what can you eke? What can you squeeze out of the next 3 days, man? It's not over yet. Many people are resigned. Like they resigned, Bobby. They quit. They tapped out. They're already in 2024. Now, when it comes to futuristic thinking, I'm in 2027, 2035. However, the only way for me to get there in the most phenomenal state is to get everything out of every moment that we still have right now in the present. So I want you to think, because me personally, as well as Bobby Jackson, it looks, you guys see the phenomenal background. You see the difference. You see the shifting, right? For me, I'm still trying to get a new me out of 2-3 personally. Oh, yes. Talk about it, Bobby. What about you? How do you feel this morning, brother?
I feel phenomenal. Yesterday, I was thinking about 2024 and I was like, okay, it's 24 hours in a day. That means 2024 could be the year of just maximizing every hour. I heard somebody say you have the same amount of hours in a day as the billionaire. You know, y'all got the same amount of hours. It's all about what you do with them. So that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, okay, 2023, best me, get the best out of me. I think that's amazing. And then go into 2024 to make the most out of every day. Get it all.
New me in 2-3. What could you do with the next 3? Listen, if you only had 3 days, what if you only had 3 days? What could you do with them? How could you maximize them? What could you get out of them? What could you put into them so that you could get out the maximum yield? What would that look like? Guys, listen, I promise you, like when it comes to what we're doing over here, I see 6 figures for the next 3 days. And if you're not thinking in that state, like if you're not thinking, okay, where can I get? Where can I squeeze? What can I pull? And when I talk about, I'm talking about cash collected. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to contracting, gotta be 7. Gotta be 7. If there's not 7 figures in the next 3 days, okay, let me ask you this way before we go to a break. Is there anyone, any entity, any company on this planet that's going to get more than 7 figures or 7 figures in the next 3 days? And if there is, why can't that person, why can't that brand, why can't that business be you? Add a 0 to your thinking, add a 0 to your results. We'll be right back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a 0 to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a 0 to you, you can add a 0 to the marketplace. You can add a 0 to the value that you bring. So you can add a 0 to your family, add a 0 to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a 0. Add a 0 to your competence, add a 0 to your confidence. This is about adding a 0 in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let Bobby speak to this real quick, guys. But I want you to think during this entire segment, what could you get? What could you get out of the next 72 hours? What could you get? What could you get out of the next 72? Bobby, you got a phenomenal different background. Talk about it. Talk about where it came from. Talk about the energy. What's new for you?
Oh man, we were on a phenomenal call last night, guys. Phenomenal. Like, community cannot beat it. Cannot beat it. So we were on a community call. I'm seeing everybody's phenomenal backgrounds, and you guys have probably seen mine before. It was a corner of a whiteboard. It was a corner of a whiteboard. Now, I'm a simplistic guy, but when you really think about it, are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for the people you serve? I'm doing it for the people I serve, and that's what Sean was talking about last night, because he really wants to help us help you, right? So he said, all right, guys, there's 3 things you got to do. I'm not going to go through all 3 of them, but one of them just so happened to be you have to let the people that you serve know that you're there to serve them. Now, those weren't the words he said, but it's pretty much like if they don't believe they can help you, if they believe they can teach you something, that they believe that they could just do what you do, what reason do they have to align with you? So for me, very briefly, I changed up everything, added the chess pieces, added the freedom isn't free, added the flag in the background and the 2 panels. And really briefly, like, I want to connect this for you guys. Like, you are the brand. So like, you have to. Oh man, Sean, you said so much last night. There was one thing that you said.
I know it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. But I see the differences, guys. Let me ask you this: are you getting the kind of inputs that are changing your outputs consistently? That's what you're watching, guys. Like, literally, you're watching the shifting and the changing and the building of a brand in front of you. And what that's going to matriculate over into, what that's going to translate into, is multiple zeros added exponentially. That's what you're watching. So when I say, when Bobby says 400% revenue year after year after year, and I say not next year, I say 5, 6, 7, maybe 4,000 revenue growth next year. Yeah. Pay attention to the shifts. Pay attention to the small shifts, because it's small shifts that build empires, guys. Everybody wants to scale so fast and wants to, do the big flash bang, the dropping of the ball and the explosions and the fireworks. But listen, scaling is simple. It's a series of small steps taken consistently. That's all it is. It's not more. It's actually less. It's actually less, but it's more of the right things. So again, more of the right thinking. Don't think yet about 2024, because if you're thinking right now, like, okay, I'm going to crush it in 2024, this quarter is going to be, that's great thinking, but I want you to pull back for a moment, because we still got 3 days. We still got 3 days. Don't forsake. Bruce Lee said they missed the forest for the trees. You're missing the majesty because you're focusing on something that's in the future, but you're not maximizing your present. Maximize your present. How many calls do you have lined up? How many decisions can you make? How many phenomenal decisions can you make for your business, for your career, for your life, for your family, for your health, for your wealth, for yourself in the next 3 days? Don't just go to sleep and wake up to see the ball, guys.
As I check out different things on the feed because I'm always looking and seeing what's going on. It's been interesting these past 2 days. It's been interesting. And I just want to say this piece. When I was coming up in the Branded Like a Leader program, I remember two distinct moments. There was a moment when I would post like a lot. And then there was a moment like I would start posting a little bit less, like in the chats, because he would say, put a 1 in the chat, do this and do that. And I realized that there gets to this point where we start getting results. And when we start getting results, we can start thinking that we don't need to do the things that we were doing before we were getting results. We actually sometimes feel like we made it. We can leave. We don't need this anymore. And we stopped doing the things that we were doing. So one thing that I just want to put out there, because it's not about the comments. It's not about us. It's like, we're not saying, hey, share this out for our sake. It's like, hey, this is a part of your process. And this was something he talked to us about last night. He was like, hey, there are certain things you have to do for you so that when you show up, you are convicted, you are confident, you are clear, but you got to do these things for you in order for you to connect with the people that you're trying to do it for. So I just want you to know that, hey, if you're a sharer, share this out. If you're one of those people that actively comment and you're acting like, yeah, that was good, keep on doing it, because it's a part of what's getting you the results that might lead to what it led to for me, which was, subtle arrogance, very subtle. And that's the thing, like those negative emotions can sometimes be a bit insidious. Like you don't even see them coming. They just pop up. And like, wait, where did that come from? So
New me in 2-3. New me in 2-3. What can you do in the next 3 days to change everything? What decision can you make? What relationship can you create? What investment can you make? What subtraction can you take from different things? What can you take out of your diet? What can you take out of your routine? What are you missing right now? That's what I want you to think about. Put your last year under a magnifying glass. What can you stand to lose, or what would improve if you removed something? What could you remove to improve your situation, and what could you add to improve your situation? What's taking up place on your plate, taking up space on your plate that doesn't deserve space anymore? And what deserves more space on your plate? I tell people this all the time, Bobby. I say your money's in your phone. I say your money's in your phone, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Your money's in your phone. And I've proven it on multiple occasions. If I come into your room right now, I could say, listen, if I come into your house, let's say 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, when this call is over, 8 o'clock, I could say business begins Friday. It's open. The market is open. The bell is rung. Ding. Let's get to work. Pick up your phone, call. Who needs what you have? Call them now. Don't wait. Call them now and go from one call to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next until you close deals. Would you know what to do? Would you know who to call? Do you know who needs your service? I'm not talking about next quarter. I'm talking about right now. You got 3 days left. If you don't have something lined up, then something's got you lined up.
Oh my goodness.
If you don't have something lined up, then something's got you lined up. You're either a producer or a consumer. And this is the quarter of consumption. People have lost houses in this time. And a lot of people will be consuming things that they know they can't produce. So you'll be paying for last month for the next 2 years. My father told me this. My father said, Sean, my father was wise. He was wise. He had some ways, but he was wise. He said, Sean, he said, more people commit suicide in these 2 months than the rest of the year, November and December. And I was like, Everybody's partying. Why? Like, I couldn't get it. I was young. And he was like, no, this is the worst time in the year. It's the worst time in the year. People spend what they don't have. And then when it's all over, they're trying to recoup and make sense of everything that they spent, trying to make the kids happy and families happy. He was like, don't be shallow, man. Don't sacrifice tomorrow for today. Sacrifice today for tomorrow. I said, let's go. I didn't get it when I was young. He said, don't sacrifice tomorrow for today. Sacrifice today for tomorrow. And it hit me later when I had my children of my own, and I looked at them, and these times came around, and I was like, okay, I want to do this and I want to do these things, but then I had to think, hold on, is this the smartest decision possible? And if it's not, what do I have to do today to make it possible? You want to splurge, you want to spend, you want to travel, you want to do all the phenomenal things that come along with financial freedom, but do you really have it? And if you don't, how can you change the situation so that you do? This is a time to be sane. This is a time to have sanity, because the people a lot of times that live next door to you, to the right and left, don't. And you can see it. And all you have to do is go outside and look in people's faces to see the suffering. The children are smiling, the parents are crying. Don't sacrifice tomorrow for something momentary today that's not going to last. I learned this the hard way, man. But these business and life principles, priceless.
Yeah, it makes me think back to, if you do it right the first time, it tends to continue serving you over and over and over again. And it seems like it's a part of our culture, the Western culture at least, to rush into things, to just build things without the instructions. Like, who has ever gotten something from IKEA and put the instructions in the corner somewhere? And you're just like, this looks like it goes there. This looks like it goes there. And you assemble it, believe it or not. And then you're like, 4 screws are not where they're supposed to be, because these 4 screws are still on the floor. And you're like, this thing is erect. It's standing, but I'm clearly missing 3 or 4 screws. And I share that to say something normally happens to that bookcase. Maybe it's a bookcase that could have lasted 6 months, or more like 6 years rather, but it lasts 6 months because you put so many things on it and you had those 4 screws missing and it fell apart. And I think that the 3 days that we have right now, imagine if you had 3 days to look over the instructions, because that's kind of what Branded Like a Leader was for me. Like I want to kind of paint a picture for you guys. Like, it was really like an instruction manual. I took Branded Like a Leader, then I took Coaching Like a Leader, and then I took Closing Like a Leader. So imagine a 3-part pamphlet that gave you the instructions to building a successful business, right? So I had this 3-part instruction manual in front of me, and I said, okay, this is panel 1. And guys, like, really imagine yourself putting something together, because that's what your business is. You really want to put your life together. Like, if you had the instruction manual to design your life, something that Sean teaches us, would you disregard the instructions? Like, no, like, really hear me, guys. Like, if you could design your ideal life and you could put it together, the only thing you need to do is have the instructions. Would you throw it together like an IKEA thing with no instructions and have it fall apart on you as soon as you plop onto the bed? Which is what happens. You jump out of your day job, you take these skills, you take this experience, you take these expertise, and you run into the market. Oh, I got it. And you start assembling stuff. And as you start assembling it and you start throwing stuff on top of it and you start putting all this stuff together, then boom, it collapses. Like, what happened? What happened? You built your life without instructions. The instructions that come with the progress and process. So that's just one piece, as that banner, is down there. It's like, what's your instruction manual? That's what I would say. In 2023, listen,
you know something, Bobby? I love what you said, right? Because it sounds good and it can look good too. It sounds good and it can look good too. So you put together the baby crib, you happy, you excited, you pull it out the box and you put it together, or you think you put it together, like Bobby said, without the instructions. So it looks good. And it sounds good. Yeah, we're going to start a business. Yeah, we're going to open this. 2024 is our year. 2024 is going to be our year. That's the time we're going to crush it and dominate it and boom, boom, boom. And it sounds really great, right? Everybody did the same thing in 2023, 2022, 2021. If you haven't changed your business yet, don't you think it's time to look at a different set of instructions? Don't you think it's time to do something different? Because watch this, it'll look good and sound good, but when you put the baby in it, it'll fall. when it'll collapse. When you test it with weight, it'll collapse. And if you don't do something different going into 2024 than you did coming into 2023, then you can future pace yourself, and you can predict based on the past that 2024 will be more of 2022. So I want you to just think about that as we go to the break. What did 2022 look like? And what's going to be different? What can you do in these next 3 days? What decisions can you make? What investments can you make? What can you remove from your plate, and what can you add to your schedule so that 2024 isn't more of 2022? Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. What's the energy in the room? I'm excited. You already know how we acted up yesterday. Listen, guys, if you're not feeling electric, if you're not feeling passionate, then get very, very comfortable, because this will be the ride. Like, this will be the ride. Enjoy the scene. enjoy the feeling, because things will not change until you do. That was the main topic of yesterday's call. Things will not change until you do. You absolutely must change the situation. To change some things, you're gonna have to change some things.
That's true. That's true. You know, as I'm writing different things down here, I'm thinking about my kids and the different things that we did this year versus the things that they did previously. Because I've got kids going to college soon, and they had certain habits. So my son was working at the job. He had his girlfriend, and that can be tough for teenagers. And then he had his responsibilities at home, and he had school. And I remember him like struggling. He's like, Dad, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm getting C's where I should have A's or B's. Like, me and the girl, we're not really clicking like we should. And I can't stand this job. And I was like, son, that's because you're still showing up as a version of you that cannot handle the amount of capacity that you're trying to lean into. So I'm pretty much saying, if you want to play basketball, he was also an athlete. I'm like, hey, when you were in, say, 8th grade, 9th grade, you didn't have a serious relationship. You didn't have a job. You were just playing basketball and going to school. But at that stage and with that capacity, you was good. But now you're getting ready to go to college. You got a job. You've got a serious relationship, and you've got school and basketball. And what we can tend to do sometimes is we can try to assume that the version of us that was successful at one stage in our life is enough to be successful at future stages. But the more we add to our plate and the more quality of life that we're looking to have, the more capacity that we have to be able to attain. And that's something we talked about too. So that's what I was writing down there, Sean, is as you develop in 2023, I would say with these last 3 days, take account of what you want to have that you didn't have this year. It could be monetary, it could be quality of life, it could be relational. And then once you identify that, ask yourself, who do you have to be to become that, to get that, to have that, to sustain that? A lot of people get it and lose it.
A lot of people get it and lose it, right? So selfish to become selfless. Selfish to become selfless. I had to become selfish in the beginning so I could become selfless now. Because people hit me all the time. Sean, how are you able to go live for free? Like, what does that look like? How are you doing the free piece? Like, how are you going live every single day except for Sunday? Like, what's the recompense? And people don't understand. Like, I'm at a point where we can do philanthropy. I'm at a point where we can do philanthropy. This is charity. This is me giving back. This is the value add. My hands are clean. Like, I feel super comfortable. When I talk about branding you and adding a zero and multiple 6, 7 figures, like, I feel comfortable saying that because I give for free consistently. So my spirit is clean. This is this is the work of a higher initiation. Like, this is the work of a higher intention. Why? Because I started my business to be able to do things that I could not do because I wasn't compensated correctly. Please understand, if you know the story, like, I was in my undergrad and I saw that giving to the people wasn't giving me the quality of life that I needed for my family, for my children, like Bobby just mentioned, and for my wife, to free her from her job. So I said, okay, I got to make a shift. But the shift wasn't to get rich and be a snob. The goal was to get rich so I could give enrichment consistently. So I'm living out my morals, values, and principles. However, in order for me to become so selfless, at first I had to become selfish. And I took from the same people that I give to now. I wasn't present. I wasn't public. My family saw less of me as I dug deep into college, dug deep into training, dug deep into school, dug deep into personal and professional development. I did exactly what I'm telling you to do right now. So I'm literally giving you the key to success. I looked at where I was, and I looked at what Bobby just said, who I was. And I said, what do I need to remove in order to improve? What could I sacrifice today so that I could enrich tomorrow? What could I give away today? What could be an expense that I can make? What could be an investment that I can make today so that I'll be able to make an expense tomorrow? See, guys, you have the keys. We're giving them to you. The question is, what will you do with them and what doors will you open with them? And that's your choice. I wrote something down. You're either convicted or you're conflicted.
Yep.
You're either convicted or conflicted. If you're not going live, if you're not knocking on doors, if you're not making calls, it's because you don't believe in what you think you have, what you want to have. You want to receive without believing. You want results, but you haven't sold yourself yet. You want to close deals, but you haven't closed yourself yet. You're still like stuck, like stutter stepping. Like you don't know if you should touch the phone or not. You don't know if you should make the calls or not. You don't know if you should reach out to the people or not. You don't know if you should send the DMs or not. You don't know if you should do the challenge or not. You don't know if you should make the flyer with the date on it or not. So I want to ask you, we're all talking about 2024, the next date. What is your date? What is your date to get out of the way? You know, when you go to college, they give you a graduation date. They forecast the date of your graduation. So we got 3 days left. What is your date? When are you going to get out of your own way and really hit the marketplace?
Yeah. You know, Coach, I felt like that was real good because I was on a sales call this morning, training sales
nice.
Call good. And oh man, y'all probably don't know, but I got hit last night, like bow, body shot in the life, like in my personal life, right? And I want to share this very briefly because I feel like right now some people have taken their foot off the gas to take a gasp. And I just want to help you with this real quick. When you are feeling the most pain, when you're like hit like the most, the hardest, that's the best time to go hard. And that's the best time to go hard because that's the only time to be great. And I'll say it like this. Adversity introduces a man or woman to him or herself. Adversity introduces us to ourselves. And yesterday I experienced some adversity and it got me good, like real good. So you might be experiencing some adversity right now. And I just want to encourage you to don't take what we're saying right now as hype, because it's not. Like we're not saying, oh, it's 3 days left. Get worked up. Let's go. That's not what we're saying. It's 3 days left. You down and out. You've been crawling. You've been hurting. You've been investing. You don't know how you're going to make it. This is the best time to be great. This is the best time. What did they ask Ali? They say, Ali, how many sit-ups do you do? He said, I don't know. I don't start counting until it hurts. So what I would like you to the way I would like you to frame this is not necessarily how many days do I have left. I kind of want you to say, with all that I've gone through this year, the heck and high water, the frustration, the misery, the loss, the pain, everything I've been through, with these last 3 days to be great, how much greatness can I pull out of myself by making the most of these next 72 hours? Like really take all of 2023, put it in front of you and say, I'm a dig for the next 72 and feel every bit of pain, frustration, agony, and channel it. Because if you pull it through 2023, you can leave it. You can leave it and go into 2024 knowing that you did your job. But like if you let it fester, you don't really feel it like you know you should, you don't really channel it, you don't make the most of it, you go sometimes into 2024 carrying things that you could have left in 2023 but you had to carry it in 2024 because you didn't face it in 2023. So for me, as I'm listening to the graduation piece, that's what I felt that hit me in my heart, because that's how I felt about calculus. That's how I felt about accounting 101. And that's how I felt about what was I doing? Graphing and modeling. All three of those were like, I gotta leave this where it's at. But it always required me to go to the wire. It always required me to go to the wire. But when I got through, it was the last 72. That's how it always happened for me. It was like, the only way you're gonna pass this class is if you stay up for the next 72 hours.
You know something, Bobby, and I want to share this with the people real quick. I never celebrated a graduation. I never celebrated a graduation. I never went across the stage. Like, I never did that. I got 3 master's degrees, guys. So I got 5 graduations so far. But I never went to the ceremony. What do you mean? What do you mean, Sean? You never went to the ceremony. You never went across the stage. You never put on the cap and gown. No. Why? Because that's not why I went into college. I went into college so I could get busy. So every time they hit me with a letter or an email or, hey, come get your stuff, it was like, just send it in the mail. I'm too busy. I'm too busy serving. I'm too busy in my business. And I want you guys to really underline this, because the difference between the challenged and the champion is their thinking. The difference between the challenged and the champion is their thinking. The way I think says, when I look at a graduation date or the end of a term date, I'm like, oh, that means there's downtime. That means I have to wait for the next. And I'm that person who has to grab something and put it in the middle so I can get to the next. Because I have a problem taking my foot off the gas. Most people have a problem keeping their foot on the gas. And that's the difference. When people say, what is it, Sean? What is it that you do? The thing that I don't do is stop. And the thing that I do is keep going. So most people are looking at the next 3 days like, now I get to relax. I look at the next 3 days as, let's go. Now I get to work. Now I get to work. I get to execute for the next 3 days. The way we view things is differently. And I'm trying to bring you into tune and give you a picture of a champion perspective. Because you want the things that winners have, but you don't do the things that winners do. Real winners, like I told Bobby the other day when he was talking about a family get-together that they had around the holidays, I said, do you think that pole vaulting champions have holidays, man? I said, don't delude yourself into believing that the best of the best and the top of the top and the creme de la creme. No, they're selfish in the immediate so that they can be selfless in the future. The problem with us is we don't sacrifice the immediate for the future. We sacrifice the future for the immediate. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. I think we're going to go to a break on that point. I want that to resonate. We don't sacrifice the present for the future. We sacrifice the future for the present. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Reyes. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I want you to think about what was just stated, and I want you to think about yourself and ask yourself the cold, hard truth. Am I sacrificing today for tomorrow, or am I sacrificing tomorrow for today? Because I guarantee you this, 2024 will look like the results of the decisions you make in the next 3 days.
You know, Coach, this reminds me of a story. I've told this story once or twice, but maybe never on Breakfast with the Brand. My mom bought a telescope one year. She bought me a telescope for Christmas, and she used her college money to get it because she was a single mom and she really wanted us to have some stuff. She was like, man, I'm tired of my kids not having Christmas. So Christmas came around. She bought me something, my brother something, my sister something. Everybody's opening their stuff. We excited, guys. We super happy. Mommy finally, got me what I really, really wanted. And unfortunately, 2-3 days later, that telescope that was once taking up this beautiful space in my room in the corner was gone. I'm like, yo, where's my telescope? And I'll go looking for it. And what I end up finding out is I stumble across a receipt or some, and it's a pawn shop receipt. And the telescope had been pawned. It had to go to the pawn shop. And I was like, yo, Ma, what's up with the telescope? Where's it at? And she's like, baby, I'm sorry. Like, I had to. We didn't have any other options. And my mom didn't even, get an opportunity to finish the degree that she had got the money from the college for. And it took a while for her to overcome that. And I really want y'all to see like some of the effects that it had on us is that by sacrificing the future for the immediate, she got me the telescope and she got the money from the college, FAFSA. I lost the telescope and she didn't get the degree, and then had to pay back the college loan, and I had to go without the telescope. So the moral of the story really was this. If you try to shortcut or purchase what you have not worked for, you'll never be able to keep it long enough to appreciate it, long enough to enjoy it. So it's like, do you really want to sacrifice a few dollars? Like, just like, it doesn't matter what the investment is. Just frame it like this. Do you really want to sacrifice keeping your future after you get it? And you say it even more eloquently, Coach. So I'll say it to you guys like this. What is it to make all the money and have to give it all back? That's the way you talk.
Yeah, the way I say it is, basically, you know what the scripture says. It says, what if a man gains the world and loses his soul in the process? So I'd say, what if you make $1 million and have to give it back after you make it because you sacrificed what it took to get there, like your health?
That's what I was trying to say, guys.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
what if you sacrifice what it takes to get there? Most of us do that. We sacrifice the immediate, thinking that we're going to just become magically successful. And I want you to just think about your college loans, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, or a 30-year mortgage, and the interest that accumulates based on decisions that you make in the immediate, saying, I want to feel I want to feel. This is why we buy things that don't make any sense, because I want to feel. I want to feel this right now. And in the future, you feel pain because of the decisions that you made to feel pleasure in the immediate. It's the same thing with studying. It's the same thing with any kind of courses that you guys have or any kind of instructions that you have. You say, well, I don't really want to go too hard in that. And that's, you know, another thing that happened last night was a person tried to ask me some questions on a course and tried to shortcut the course with the questions. I said, no, sir. Like, there's no reason for me to give you step 9 if you haven't gone through step 2. And I don't have the time to go through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get you to 9. We recorded the course. The course is there. You have access to the course. All you got to do is go through the course and you'll have all of your answers plus more answered for you in the right way that it was disseminated when I gave it to you, because that was where my entire attention and focus was. Wow. You cannot shortcut the process, because what's going to happen is one of your legs are going to be shorter than the other one. You'll be walking lopsided. It's not going to balance out. When you try to shortcut the immediate for the future, or shortcut the future for the immediate, you've got to do this the right way. It's a process. It's a process of evolution, and you just can't fast forward it. So like Bobby said, every single person has the same 24 hours in a day. I was walking with my sons, and I'll tell a story real quick before we just shut this thing down for the end of the year. Think about that. Think about that before we shut this thing down before the end of the year. I was walking with my sons on Wall Street, and we saw the entire spectrum of life. We saw the entire spectrum of life on Wall Street. There was a person eating out of a garbage can in the summer with coats on and sweaters, and it was Wall Street. So there were 3 businessmen walking with a briefcase and suits on. I said, son, what do you think is the difference between these 2 pictures on opposite corners? Just someone eating out of the garbage can, and you got people walking in suits, young, polished, refined, phenomenal, rich, enriched, enriching others. I said, what do you think the difference is between these 2 walks of life? And they said, well, one is eating out of the garbage, the other one is. I said, but why? Because the person eating out of the garbage has both legs, both hands, and it doesn't look like any dismemberment. They're not babbling like a baby. They're not crazy. What's the difference? And the difference was thinking. The thinking was different. And the different thinking led to different decisions. And then different decisions led to different results. You cannot fast forward. You cannot skip the process. Look at this. Look at this. A lot of times we put ourselves in bad situations because of the investments that we don't make today. The investments that we don't make today, the decisions that we don't make today, and the disciplines that we don't initiate today will accumulate interest and make us pay later. And this is a fact. So you can sacrifice a few immediate gratifying moments in order to have a phenomenal future, or you can sacrifice what could be a phenomenal future to have a few moments of self-gratification and microwave success. And it can look good and it can sound good. But while you're doing this, what you're doing is you're sacrificing your children's future. It's not even about you. It's not even about you. What you're doing is you're sacrificing your children's future to have to go and make the hard decisions that you could have made today. That's what I did. That's what I did, Bobby. I said, you know what? I'm going to college. I'm going to sacrifice the next 10 years. Nobody's going to see me. No one's going to hear from me. People were calling me, hey, Sean, what happened? We can't find you anymore. You're not online. You're not in the hood. Like, you're not anywhere at all. And I'm like, listen, you guys are going to have to see me. It was like, It was like 2015. I said, you're going to have to see me in 2025.
It's incredible.
I said, it's a friends and family. Just forget about me if you can't wait, because I don't have time to waste. I've got to make time instead of waste time.
So good. Like, this is so great. And okay, you see that down there, guys? Like, some of you all may not know what that is, but that's the Battle of Iwo Jima. But under that, what it says is freedom isn't free. And you guys probably can't read that. But I love where this conversation has gone as we end the year and we end the call over these last 3 minutes. But my quick piece is military related because of what we do in the service for our country so that the people can enjoy the freedoms that they have today. So pretty much we sacrifice as military service members every day for the event, for the possibility that a war might break out, for the possibility.
That's right. Preparation.
Right? Preparation. And it's like so many people don't know that freedom's not free. And I'm gonna leave it at that because I know it can get a little dicey, a little touchy, but like everybody's got a job to do. And if you're a parent and you believe that your responsibility is to create a legacy for your family, or if you are serious about your community or serious about giving back to, say, your legacy, your lineage, your people, whatever it is about you, for you, that you feel like you're responsible for, it's not going to be free. The freedom that you're providing for them is not going to be free. And it's usually going to cost you up front. And that's what I think so interesting about how we decided to end the call, because right now you can pay for the next 72 hours to have the next 24. And by 24, I mean the year. And
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this real quick. And we're gone, right? We're gone. The next 3 years will be dictated by the decisions you make in the next 3 days.